Listen up, Rangers. Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve, and today we are sort of doing an update video to a few of the top 10s we've done previously. There has been some new iterations of Godzilla since we've done those top 10s. So, using Tiermaker, I'm going to show you guys pretty much my thought process behind each of these Godzillas down here, and which ones I kind of rank as perfect, which ones I think are just hot garbage, and which ones I think are kind of in the middle. Noticeably, one of our favorite kaijus sort of missing down here. And sort of missing, I mean Zilla. So, sadly, we won't be able to put him on the list. If I had to rank him, though, kind of see good right here is highlighted. That's essentially where I'd put him. In terms of Godzilla, like, doesn't really compare to a lot of these, but just like as a design, I always really liked him still. So I'd put him good. But I understand him not being here, but it still hurts to say the least. Anyways, I guess we'll start with. Is this in order? No, not really. Sort of. I guess we'll just start at the bottom and work our way up to the legendaries and shit. So, anyways, we got the 1954 Godzilla. Really enjoyed this one for the most part. Granted, it's not like the best suit when you like in terms of like practice when you're watching this stuff. Like you see a lot of like suit folds and stuff. Like it's not the most realistic looking thing, but I still like it. Like it's a classic. For the most part, though, like I think we'll park that there for a minute. Because some of this I might shift around here in a minute. This one, freaking great. I know a lot of people don't really appreciate this suit, but I always thought it was kind of like terrifying in a way. And then I really enjoyed the movie, Godzilla Raids again, especially with like the English dub with the horrible anger roar. But I always thought like the suit was pretty neat. Next, God, I feel like I shouldn't do this one right now. I was like, technically next Godzilla, 1962 here. Yeah, you guys kind of know if you pay enough attention to the channel, like, he top tier. And for the most part, there's gonna be like one perfect, one terrible, and then we'll figure out the rest from here on out. But those 62, I always really liked it. Liked it as a kid. Still enjoy the suit. Easily one of the more reptilian looking of the Godzillas, and I just always enjoyed like the clapping, even just like the overall design aesthetics for him was just really menacing looking. Especially how bulky he is, because it kind of went away from the 55 here and being more of a lean suit until you get to the something that they tried to replicate a little bit more with the 54, but then they took in a completely different direction, which I really enjoyed. Next, we'll go with the 64, which I know it's a lot of people's favorite suits. And it is from a good movie. It's got some positives, but for me, I can't enjoy the bulldog face, man. Somewhere down here. It ain't terrible. Like it's a fine suit. It's fun in the movie, but it's just like the way the animatronic like the mask attaches to the animatronic on the face is just. Oh, I'm gonna say not good. Ain't bad. Ain't good though. Feel confident in that. The only thing that's kind of a bummer about like these lists, I was looking at a few of these. It's like some of these are like kind of wash, rinse, repeat of the same suit, you know? Like for the most part, like Heisei. Like you don't really get like that much differentiation between the suits, like enough. Like 89 looks great, but some of the other ones like still look fine. It's kind of the same for like 64. You got 65. That 65. That one looks more like Cookie Monster Godzilla, but that also looks like kind of. I think this one's supposed to be the Ghidorah one or Astro Monster, which mostly the same suit, but kind of enjoyed it a little bit more. Cookie Monster Godzilla, on the other hand, is going to be in the bad section. Ain't great. I have the X Plus, but it's one of the suits that like to me feels the least lifelike out of a lot of these ones, which is odd to say. Guess we'll get this one out of the way. Son of Godzilla. Yeah, I'm not even gonna joke about that one. I'm just gonna go right down here. So we already figured out the best and the worst. It's just like that suit is so dorky looking. Like I get it, it's supposed to be more fatherly in a way, but no. Like just the shape of the head, it's not even scary. And the monsters in the movie, like it's sad when like the opponents that he's fighting are way more terrifying in that movie, especially in a Showa movie, than the actual Godzilla itself. But destroy all monsters somewhere. Mainly just gonna say it's decent. It's like pretty much middle of the road here. Hedora, pretty much same suit, middle of the road. Now we get to. I think this one's supposed to be Megalon. Yeah, because it's got the little. I guess like Mecha Godzilla, the first one. It definitely the second one because like this one's definitely from Terror. It's got a little bit more of the predominant features on the face, which I'm gonna put in the good section here. My voice sounds a little bit weird. I'm still kind of getting over that sickness I've had for about a week now. It's been horrendous. For the most part, it's mostly the same suit, but I just kind of like the way the bend in the mouth is a little bit more in 75 anyways. So next we got the 1984, which another one of these suits that I really enjoy, and it used to be my favorite suit for the longest time, especially when I was younger, but over time 62 is kind of taking the cake a little bit. But it's mainly like I really like the animatronic from 84, and the suit, while still being good, just doesn't have like the same like ferocity that you got out of the animatronic. So I feel like that's where it kind of like breaks apart for me. Next we have essentially the same Godzillas here in the Heiseis, which are all pretty much good for me. Bio Goji we'll put a little bit higher, but for the most part, everybody else is just like pretty standard stuff for the Heisei. Like the Space Godzilla one's a little bit sweeter, but for the most part, 89 is the one that's like clearly the superior suit for me, anyways, between the rest of these. And Burning Godzilla, still pretty great all on his own. Especially like really love the effect that they did with the burning and the smoke coming out of the body and everything. Super awesome looking. Same with like this too. Like you have like both of the 2000s here, which I do like the 2000 suit a lot. I feel like the Mega Gears, it's the exact same suit, so we'll put them both in the same tier as well. Now, GMK. Now, if you guys have watched the channel a bit, you guys know that like I don't mind the movie. Like I think in terms of like plot, the movie's really great. But my issue is the suits for me weren't very good. Now, over time, I used to think this thing was like in the terrible bracket, but I've kind of like grown on it a little bit. I'm mainly just gonna say he's not good. A lot of it's just like the way the animatronic moves in the movie just bothers me, and like proportion wise, it's kind of meh. But he has a really cool like head sculpt, anyways, and I like how like the big his claws were and everything in that movie. But for the most part, like as a total package, just never really a big fan. Now we got Kiryu Godzilla. I'm gonna say decent. I don't know why. I just never really caught on to that one as much because it's pretty much like a hybrid between me with like the Heisei and the Millennium for the most part, which is kind of what you get with the final Goji here, which put a little bit higher because you do get like the pointy spikes on the back and it's got more streamlined edges, but for the most part, it's just like again the way like the suit moves in the movie, it just doesn't feel quite as lifelike as some of these other ones. Final Wars Godzilla is just super cool. Pretty much like a nice throwback to the Heisei series. And done right. And he moves around really nice in the movie. I just realized the anime Godzilla isn't on this list. Doing this entire thing, be like, hey, we're going to update the list. It's going to be great. And no anime Godzilla. So to represent that, this kind of looks like anime Godzilla for me. So this is going to be anime Godzilla for references. We'll just say this guy here is our legendary, just in general. I'm going to stick with the 2019 look in particular, so just ignore the fact that the faces aren't quite right. But anyways, for the, I guess we'll go with the anime one. It's like, you guys know I'm not a big fan of the movies, but the idea is cool behind it. It looks neat. I'm gonna say not good for that one. Mainly because like it's kind of trying to replicate for me a design that was done way better with the legendary films, while not really adding anything to it that I feel like makes it superior. For the actual legendary ones, with 2019, anyways, could put that in the great section. Really like the improvements that they did over the 2014 suit with the elongated dorsal spines, the way like the spines were bioluminescent in the film, and just like more streamlined body was really appreciated. Not just like, it's more or less like what Kid Steve wanted to see out of Godzilla, and it kind of finally like incorporated into a movie. And then finally for Shin, we're gonna put him in the great section. I always kind of felt like a little bit hit and miss with that one. Because initially when I first saw it, I was like, it's a pretty sweet looking suit, but it's kind of awkward in a way. But after seeing the movie, and plus like me being a fan of Evangelion and stuff, just really, really love the route that they took with this Godzilla. And easily the most it's weird because like with Zilla, I feel like it's like the biggest differentiation from like all these other Godzilla designs. But Shin's also like a really abstract version of it as well. But really do love the suit. Well, I feel like my brain wants to be put in great. Like my brain wants to be put in good. My heart wants me for it to be great. Because CG isn't quite as good as say like the legendary ones, which is where I could kind of knock a little bit. But the design's cool still. Like coolest design for me. Yeah, you know what? Put in great. Might as well. So pretty much, here's the list. Not too many that I'm not a big fan of. Like this is the one like I barely have any figures of. There's a reason. Like you'll never see me get an X plus of this guy. Main reason I only got X plus of Cookie Monster Godzilla is just because like it was a good looking X plus, and you don't see figures of him too much. Well, you know what? I say that, but you also don't see figures of this guy too much either. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. But outside of that, kind of wish I would have looked at the list a little bit more better before I started doing all this recording. So missing Zilla, there's an anime Godzilla, which we kind of honorarily have right here. But as you can see, like for the most part, I kind of keep like the Millenniums and the Heiseis are a little bit higher in my opinion in terms of favorite suits, and then it's kind of like a smattering of the Showas are decent. Except for it's kind of weird that like I like all these Heisei Millennium suits, and then like one Showa suit is easily my favorite, but also my least favorite. But anyways, let me know in the comment section below which ones you guys appreciate, which one you guys dislike, and how would you guys change this list? Do you think my list is hot garbage? Let me know down there. And help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, and come range today. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.